It's whatever pain or frustration or upset or suffering you may have. It's like it's all internally created. We want to say it's the outside world. You triggered me. That's the new famous term. You've made this not a safe space. You'll never be able to control the external world to be exactly how you want it to be. You'll never be safe doing that. You have to create the safety inside yourself because you want the answers. Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Welcome to Tony Robbins Podcast. This is a really special and fun episode. This episode, we're going to take you to one of our inner circle audiences, and you're going to see a clip with Sage and myself, basically exploring all the ideas of how you can question, use the power of inquiry, the power of questions to get rid of limiting beliefs. And rather than just talk about it, what we decided to do is, bring somebody up on screen and work with them there. So we bring up this young man named Rasmus. I think he's from Denmark, if I remember correctly. And we help him kind of question his limiting beliefs, and you see his transformation in real time. So I think you'll really enjoy it. So thanks for sticking around. Let's just get right to it. Let's start with the power of questions. So I think what I'd like to do now is to finish up. We're going to take one, maybe two questions from some people that are out there. But I thought instead of hearing from me, you should hear my favorite person on earth. Will you welcome my dear Sage Robbins, everybody? Give it up for her, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Inner Circle family.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, honey.
So we're at home here. It's so special to be with you in our home.
Yes.
So thank you for inviting us in your home and you in ours. So let's take a question. I thought it'd be great. Sage is, she's my wife, but that's all you could say. I'm partial. She's one of the smartest, most spiritual, most beautiful humans I know on earth. And I've had the privilege of meeting millions. I always tell people that, I think the gift that God has given me for helping millions of people is I got this woman as my wife and love and partner. So I thought it'd be nice to let her answer some of your questions and me be on a little bit more on the outside. Go ahead.
Thank you, honey. And something I'd love to add to that is just one of the beautiful gifts in this space between our love, our relationship, is we both have an utter commitment to take responsibility for our suffering. And asking questions, inquiry, is a path through that bound, stuck energy of an internal nightmare. We all know what it feels like to be stuck within a trivial belief or a story of mind, and they're running all the time. They're running, and as they run and as we attach to them and believe them, it disconnects us from this moment. It disconnects us from our beloveds. It disconnects us from the beauty of life. And so for myself, I have such, we both, inquiry manifests and lives in both of us and expresses differently and yet complementary for the simple fact that we're both so hungry for freedom, for inner freedom. And as we inquire, as we dig deeper, as we ask the questions, Tony was said so beautifully earlier about, having mind and heart connected in that coherence. And through questions, if we have a willingness, just a willingness, that's all it takes. A willingness to claim responsibility for our experience of life. A willingness to claim responsibility for our internal suffering. A lot of times, so innocently, mind is looking externally. Well, if he changes, if she does this, when she does that, then I'll be happy. And yet, I don't know about you, but I haven't found a human being on the planet that I've been able to change yet. Through our love, but not through the expectation or the demand that I need you to behave differently in order for me to feel more comfortable or at ease or to get over this resistance. That's crazy. That's crazy inside of me if I believe that. And I have, so I can say this because it's human. This is actually where we all meet in this human journey. It transcends every religion, every race. We all meet in this internal experience of mind that can be beautiful and expanded and freeing, or it can be bound and restricting. And so I'm passionate about this as much as this big, beautiful man is. And what's so beautiful. In real time, you're going to experience some different questions that I asked, questions that Tony asked, and then as well, questions of a very dear beloved friend of ours, this path called the work. And you can just simply try them, and all it takes is your own. You wouldn't be here. That's the truth if you didn't have willingness.
So Sage mentioned, we have a dear friend named Byron Katie.
Yes.
And if you haven't picked up some of her books, one of the first books was called The Work.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have in common is we believe that the only way things change is by inquiry. In other words, things stay the same unless you question them. That's all inquiry is, right? Mm-hmm. But Byron Katie's just a beautiful, beautiful soul. So we'll probably do a podcast with her, but you can pick up a book, Loving What Is, or The Work. There are lots of great books. But the reason we bring it up is if you're, feeling like a little overwhelmed by all the questions we're asking here, she has a simple process. She calls it 4 questions and a turnaround. And I thought I'd just put it in front of you just right now, just at its base. And then we'll take a question, maybe 2 if we run out of time here. I'm just looking at the time, make sure we're supporting you on that too, but we want to go thorough. And it'll give you a structure that you could consider. So let me walk you through it for 2 seconds, and then I'll let Sage walk somebody through it. And maybe, honey, you'll share your version because we all have our own versions.
Absolutely.
But if you're looking for something that's like the same every time, you could go to when you're dealing with a challenge. Byron Katie went through this experience where she literally felt she lost her mind. Mm-hmm. Literally, she was having a mental breakdown. And then she began to realize I'm only having these feelings because I'm believing these ridiculous thoughts. We all have thoughts. Who here has ever thought, I'm going to kill that son of a gun? Who's ever had this thought in your mind? Anybody out there? Make some noise if you had it, right? But
that created a lot of smiles.
But you didn't really kill him, right? Because you didn't believe that thought. It's when you believe a thought that it takes control of you. So in order to get beyond that and come up with a new thought, she came up with what she calls 4 questions and a turnaround. So I'm going to give it to you real quick. You can review this later on if you want. You can pick up her book. And it's just one more tool for you. Let me do it for you first. I'll just walk you through it. We'll throw it on the screen for you so you can see it. So the first question, and by the way, I teach this in some of my business clients. So the first step, if you're going to make a change, besides getting enough reasons to do it, having a big enough why, enough leverage, is you have to break the pattern. So you got to interrupt the pattern. So if somebody says Susie's a so-and-so, and it's a derogatory term, or John's a jerk, whatever the term is, her first response, or I can't do this, or it's impossible to grow my business, or I don't have the capital, or whatever limiting belief you have. Her first question she asks is it true? I go a little bit beyond that because sometimes we say, is it true? People go, yes, it is true. It's just a reflex. So if we'll put it back on the screen, the first question, you write down a limiting belief, a limiting emotion, and you say, okay, is it true? Could this be a misinterpretation or misperception about Susie or about myself, about my business, about my resources, about the economy, whatever it is? Do we have all the possible information necessary to know exactly what this means? So do you really know what's going on with Susie? Do you know if she's having an illness? Is there somebody in her family that's being hurt? Can we really know everything to know that Susie's a B, or Johnny's a, whatever word you want to fill into those components, right? And if you keep asking this question, most of the time, if you're honest, you go, well, no, we don't have all the information to know exactly what's true. It's possible it's a misinterpretation. The moment you see it's possible that a limiting belief is no longer true, that starts to break the pattern. How many follow at least what the intention of that question is? You do make some noise, so I got you out there. Okay? Awesome. Now that we start to break the pattern, throw it up on the screen for everybody so they see it. They can take a picture of it too, so if they want to. Is now we got to get what I call leverage. Just make a note if you would. Change is never a matter of ability. Change is never a matter of ability. It's always a matter of motivation. Meaning, if you said, I can't stop smoking, and somebody came up from the mafia and said, I got a gun, I'm going to kill all of your children if you ever touch another cigarette, and we're going to monitor you 24/7. Yeah, it sounds horrific, but I bet you could stop smoking, right? There's no question about it. It's never can you, it's will you, and the only reason you will is you got strong enough reasons. So that's the general principle that I live. So she has a second question, and it's designed, in my view, to get leverage. And what she asks is, what do you feel when you say Susie's a B or Johnny's an A or whatever word you want to fill in there? What do you feel when you say I can't grow my business or the economy's out of control? What do you feel when you say I can never lose weight? What do you feel? Throw it back on the screen so everybody gets it. What do you feel? What do you experience? What do you feel like? When you believe that thought, what does it do to you? And a person may say, I feel pissed off, or I feel frustrated, or I feel overwhelmed, or I feel I don't have space in myself to even feel alive. And what that does is it makes people find what they don't want. It gives them a reason to change. Third question you're going to be asking throughout there is you want to annihilate the old belief. And the simple way in which she does this is she asks this question. She says, if that thought never existed, if you never thought Susie was a B, Johnny was an A, that you could never turn your business around, if you've never had that you never thought you weren't sexy, how would you feel if you never had that thought? How would you behave differently if you'd never even had the thought? What would your life experience be like? What would you be like if you didn't have that thought constantly in your mind or in the way of your progress or your business? And so what this does now is we've gone beyond leverage. Now we're starting to make a change, and the person will say, well, I'd feel happy if I didn't think Susie was mean to me or Johnny was a jerk or whatever. I'd feel like if I didn't think it was impossible to grow my business, I'd probably look for another way or to raise money. So it puts you in a state beyond the limiting belief. And then the turnarounds are simply what we're doing with these first three questions is we're taking those legs, those references that say, I'm not attractive enough, Susie's horrible, I can't grow my business, my children won't listen to me, I'm not beautiful enough, whatever. And we're taking the legs out. And now that they're out, though, we want to make sure they stay out. So she does a turnaround. And her turnaround is say the opposite or the antithesis. What's the opposite of it's impossible to grow my business? Well, it's totally possible to grow my business. What's the opposite of, Susie is a terrible person? And that's the second part. You do the opposite. So it can't be done. It can be done. That's a simple turnaround. It must be done. I will do it. The negative belief, Susie's a bitch, right? Well, no, let's replace Susie with either they, he, she, or maybe I. When I'm judging Susie, how do I treat her? Well, I'm a bitch. I'm a bastard. I'm a jerk. Oh my God. That starts to really change the game. And then she asks you to come up with what are three ways that you know that you have been terrible to Susie? Or what are three ways you know you could grow your business? Or what are three ways? And so it makes you 3 ways you're truly attractive. Well, I love people. I love to please people. Whatever. And you come up with 3 reasons. And now you've built a new belief, a new tabletop. Now, I've done that at hyperspeed, but how many get a feel for that? If it makes some sense to you, make some noise, and I know you're getting it there. That'd be great. And so you can do this whenever you have a limiting belief, and it's a really beautiful format, and it really works. Now, again, I'm not going to try and take you all through it, and Sage won't do it formally because one of the great things I love about my wife also, she has so many great questions. So maybe before we take a question, share the other day we were talking about all the questions that you ask.
Yes.
But wait, I might mention one thing. Mm-hmm. If you've been to Date with Destiny, you learn there's one question you ask more than ever any other question. The reason is your brain links the most pain and most pleasure to it. So some people are always asking, what's wrong with me? Some people are asking, why can't I do something? Mine was, how do I make it better? Constantly making it better. Well, that's helped my life a lot, except when I was talking to people who didn't want to make it better, they felt offended, right? So I had to see the upside and downside of my questions. Yeah. Sage's question has been one of the most beautiful things for her. Has always been, where's the good in this? Mm-hmm. And no matter what it is, once she can find the good in it, the pain disappears. Yeah. So that's been her base. But why don't you share some of the questions that I know you asked, because you were writing them down the other day.
Yes, of course. Well, honestly, coming into this, I recognize that, there's certain questions that I find helpful. One is, okay, say if I'm feeling resistance or if I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling that bound feeling. And so this is in my inner dialogue. I'd be like, okay, hon, what are we missing? What might I be missing right now? And usually what I'm missing is the other's perception, the other's experience. And once again, that question, if you're asking that question without receptivity, but if there's a willingness, it's like, okay, what am I missing right now? It's like, I'll give you an example. Say if I walked in and Tony was really focused on something, and
me focused on
so his face is, he's maybe less emotive, and I mean like a really loving, happy gesture. And I walk in, and as a younger version of myself, I misinterpreted. I would see him in a certain state, and I would think, "Gosh, he's upset with me. He's mad at me." And so, at times, as life went on, and if I was believing that thought, then when I would see him the next time, that thought is like an overlay. It's an overlay on reality. I'm not seeing beautiful man who's walking into the kitchen and, hey, hon, hey, babe, let's have dinner. I'm not experiencing that because 1 hour earlier, if I'm believing the thought that he's upset with me. And so now I really just in real time, is it true is definitely an ongoing, but another one, a complementary one is, okay, what are you missing? Gosh, what am I missing? You know what? I remember earlier today, Tony mentioned that his shoulder was really bothering him. What else am I missing? You know, he's prepping for this event. He's got 10,000 people, for an event in a half hour. He's probably maybe a little stressed for time. Nothing to do with me. And so that question for myself, it helps me to walk in the other shoes, walk in our beloved shoes, and to see beyond the story or to see beyond the belief. Another one, an internal one, this is just for my own body. I'll ask myself many times a day, I'll say, okay, how can I bless my body? How can I bless my body right now? Sometimes I might have a drink of water. Sometimes I might pop outside and I'll ask myself, how can I bless my body right now? Or how can I bless my being? And my being is different than my body. My being a lot of times wants to slow down. Wants to, I might close my eyes. I call it like 60 seconds of grace. I'll just close my eyes and invite my awareness, my attention inward. That's nurturing for me. I might eat something, if I was asking how to bless my body, it sounds crazy, but sometimes when we get going and we're out here, questions invite our awareness, our attention back to ourselves. Tony said something so brilliant earlier that, that it's rather as a leader that, we want to empower the other for the answers to come within them. Same with ourselves. As we ask a question with willingness, it invites our awareness and our attention. It's like we tune in, it's like tuning a radio, and then we're able to serve the circumstance. And so, a few more. Okay, another one. If I'm feeling maybe a resistance or something inside myself, and if I'll see if Tony's maybe feeling stressed, and I'll say, okay, how can I convey my heart right now? How can I convey a deeper truth? And so that might be verbally, that might be in a touch, but I find myself asking, like, how can I convey my heart in this moment? Because head is always efficient. Mind sees things in absolutes and it fixes reality. It distorts reality. And so these questions are tuning us to tune back into ourselves. I'm trying to think of my other questions that I asked.
Expressing love or fear, I know is one that you.
Yes, another one. Yes, is if I'll say, okay, am I expressing love or fear? Now that one's obvious, but not in the moment before you ask it.
Yeah.
And so if I ask myself, am I feeling? It's not even expressing. I'll ask myself, am I feeling fear? Fear feels like tension. Fear feels like resistance. And so if I'm feeling resistance, if I'm feeling a tightness, that's a hello, something's going on. I have a belief, an untruth that I can, questions that I can come back home. We all know what it feels like to be out in the world and you walk in your home and there's that feeling of inquiry invites us home inside of our heart, home and back to our essence, that from that place we have perception, and perception is including, perception perceives, it allows, it understands, it wants to understand, versus an opinion, which is a fixed reality, a judgment is a fixed reality. And those are usually overlaying somebody, our beloveds, externally. And so it is, it's freeing. It's freeing to know that, oh my gosh, I can shift the nightmare. And by the way, life is offering all of us challenges, health challenges, life challenges, losing jobs, this, that, the other, COVID, all of the things that life is offering us. How we respond to that, how we react to that, that's each of our responsibility. That's our business. And so we can do it blindly. Feels a little clunky. That can be painful to go through life asleep. And asleep feels like all these lenses, all these stickies over reality of, hey, beautiful man, hey, he's prepping. He's doing the best he can in the moment. I'll even sometimes say, honey, do you know what? I came in 10 minutes earlier and I saw you and I thought you were stressed. And he'll be like, honey, what are you talking about? I wasn't. And I'm like, I know that. I'm sorry. It also allows us to tidy it up, to tidy up the space between ourselves and our beloveds. Because when we're believing a thought, you'll come to see through this process, we don't even recognize we know what it feels like internally. We don't always see what it conveys externally to people. It can be less pleasant. And so in our own relationship, it's so beautiful because it's two human beings taking responsibility. And if there's a confusion, if there's a distortion, it's, honey, do you know, I'm so sorry. I've been stuck in my mind right now. This is what it looks like. I've been stuck in my head right now. And I was believing this. I know it's not true. I thank you for just hearing me right now. And then I might share or he might share. And thank you for being with me in this moment. Thank you for holding space. It invokes compassion because it's not hard as we're to connect to heart with our beloveds when we're believing that he doesn't love me. He's not paying attention to me. He's upset with me. Why isn't he romantic? Why does he talk so loud? Sound familiar? We could flip it. By the way, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying I'm making it up right now. Truthfully, I've probably thought it all at some point in time. But it's human. It's not personal. It's human because mind is always offering up these beliefs different than what our heart and our consciousness perceives, which is greater than the limitation of mind.
We have, I made a list of the questions we're talking about. Let's throw them up on the screen for people. If you want a quick picture, here are some of the questions.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
There you go. So, what's missing in this situation? Yes. Am I defending anything in this moment?
That's a big one.
What's the gift? What's the lesson? What's the blessing here?
Yes.
What's the experience? What's this offering me?
Yes.
What am I resisting? And where do I feel tension in my body so I can let it go? Am I expressing love or fear? This is when you do a lot, honey. What quality of spirit can I invite to this moment? More kindness, more love, more curiosity, more gentleness, more patience, more connectedness.
Playfulness is another one.
Yes, very
playfulness.
Much so. Huge one.
Because that's a game changer. Being in a circumstance, and it's just, we life in our busyness can feel efficiency does not convey our deepest heart. And so for myself, it's like, gosh, it's playfulness, or I want to get curious about what's going on, or sometimes it's patience to be, hey, hello, when Tony's involved in something here, I'll pop back in a half hour if I'm wanting to connect in a moment, or say, honey, do you know what? I just wanted a hug. I know you're really crazy busy. I'll come back after you're done with this. That it creates a language of love. Because through our heart, we're able to express our deepest needs and our wants, but it doesn't sound like, you don't do this. Why do you never say this? Which is blame or defending. What are you talking about? I love you. What are you talking about? Defense. So defense has a quality that's really obvious. And I'll ask myself if I'm having a misunderstanding or feeling that disconnect with somebody in my life, I'll be like, okay, what the frick am I defending right now? Because there's always something. Ego mind is so seductive and it moves so quickly. And so these questions cause us to pause. It invites our attention inward. And then what's so extraordinary, our own being, our own consciousness so perfectly shows us the answer. From my own experience, especially when we write it down, it really assists me to answer the questions and to write out the answers.
I want to emphasize that if you just answer it verbally, you may not stay with it.
Yes.
But we both are journalers. We both take it and write it down, force ourselves to, because when you see it on paper in front of you, it loses its power. It's no longer stuck in your head. And you don't have that circular thinking where you ask one question, then your brain asks another one, that type of thing. So it really encourages you to write it down. It makes a big, big difference.
And one asked, the last one is, what is the good, the gift, the blessing in this? That is always, once again, it's always hindsight that mind is revisiting. Our suffering is not here now. Our suffering is in the story, and it's about the past or a projected future. And so what's the gift in this? Because if we're experiencing pain or suffering about something that happened in the past, it's been my own experience that there's always such a beautiful gift. Some of the most painful, clunky, awkward, brutal circumstances in our lives have the deepest gifts, have the deepest levels of growth, the most beautiful, magnificent opportunities to learn. And yet we could miss that if we don't contemplate and pause and reflect. And that's the beautiful, unbelievable power of inquiry, is it doesn't cause us, it invites us to reflect, to contemplate, to notice, to connect to. And from that perspective, it's so stunning. It's so stunning to revisit. Sorry, honey.
No, I'm going to say, but it only works. The reason it works so well for her and for me is because you're taking responsibility for your own feelings,
100%.
your own beliefs,
our suffering.
In other words, whatever pain or frustration or upset or suffering you may have, it's like it's all internally created. We want to say it's the outside world. You triggered me. That's the new famous term. You made this not a safe space. You'll never be able to control the external world to be exactly how you want it to be. You'll never be safe doing that. You have to create the safety inside yourself because you want the answers. My wife is so beautiful in wanting to see what she's not seeing within herself. I try to do the same thing. And that's why we go in with the purest intent to get to a deeper truth, because we know that'll give us freedom. And that freedom allows us to love more, share more, create more, and be closer to each other and to everybody else that we love in our lives.
And Tony's so beautiful saying, I'm beautiful. I don't even know that it's beautiful. I'm selfish. I'm completely selfish. It serves me. I want to feel unbound. I want to feel free inside myself. And then life, boom, will offer something else. Hey, wow, feeling that resistance. And so it's such an unbelievable, powerful tool to notice, to appreciate, and to just uproot what's clunky and what's no longer serving, and to transcend and to transform that through the power of inquiry. So I believe we have a gentleman.
How many of you, by the way, are now getting, on the surface, questions are the answer? Who cares? How many getting the power of questions in your life? How it can change everything with a new set of questions, right?
Nice.
It's such a simple tool.
It's
the most powerful. So we're already at 2 hours, but if you'll stay with us, we want to do 1 or 2 questions. Well, let's take one at least.
Beautiful.
And then, Sage, why don't you take them through the 4 questions or a version thereof? So we have Rasmus Jacobson is going to join us here from Denmark. Let's give it up for Rasmus.
How are you? Thank you so much for letting me be here. I'm so good. My heart is pumping, but I'm trying to turn it into love and to openness.
Give him a hand. Give him a hand. Let him feel you out there.
And Rasmus, our heart pumping is love.
That's right. Rasmus, I understand you've only been part of us for about 3 weeks. I understand you've not been to Unleash the Power Within, so you don't have these deep experiences yet, and you're going to get them. You're just beginning this journey with us. But why don't you share with Sage what has been your limiting belief or challenge? I understand that you are a musician and you're having difficulty putting it out there. Tell us a little bit about what you're dealing with, what the limiting belief is, and let's have her take you through the process.
It's not only in the music aspect of my life, it's every part of my life. I feel like I put a clog on myself, and I don't express myself the way I want to. I don't say the things I believe. I don't tell people about the things that I do in my life, the things that I'm working on, my body, my mental state. I think somewhere deep down, I'm scared of failing or saying something and then getting proven wrong, or them telling me something is wrong with what I'm doing.
Yes.
So one quick thing I want to mention, then I have Sage take you through it. For everyone, the brain, not your heart, not your mind, not your soul and your heart, spirit, I should say, but the mind. Or the brain tends to do 3 things you should all jot down. We all distort, our brains delete, and we generalize.
Yes.
And what that does is it disconnects us from reality. And when you're no longer part of reality, it's hard to change your life. So a distortion is when you take something and make it worse than it is, or you make it, if you delete something. In other words, in order to be really angry, you have to delete all the things you could be happy about. There's so much if you just stopped and look around. I have my health, I have friends, I have whatever. So we delete things. We delete our relationship. Well, you always do that. That's the 3rd thing we do. We generalize.
Absolutely.
So we distort, we delete, and we generalize. And I say we, the brain does, the mind does. The heart, soul, and spirit does not. It's a much broader perspective. And almost always you're in your head when you're not making progress. And it's because you're distorting, deleting, and generalizing. So, for example, you just generalized and distorted and deleted about your whole life is like this, and you don't express it anywhere. And that's just not true. But I'm not going to tell you that. We'll take you through a process so you get that. But when you believe it, it's true. Because that's whatever you believe, you focus on it, you find it, you reinforce it, you find more examples, more legs of that you don't express yourself, or you don't follow through, or you don't say what's in your heart. And then pretty soon that belief gets in the way. You can't see life anymore. You're seeing it through this filter that isn't real.
Yeah.
So this process of these 3 questions or 4 questions turnaround is a way of unearthing that and then replacing the old limiting belief with something new. So just everyone remember, you distort, delete, and generalize. And the way you get free is you stop distorting, you stop deleting, you stop generalizing. You open the filter and see and experience more of life. Okay.
And Rasmus, is it true? I believe when I read your Facebook post that maybe this might not be the accurate statement or exact statement, but that you had a deep need to be liked by everybody. Was that your own language?
I think that I feel deep inside myself that I have to get accepted by people, but deep down, it's the self-acceptance that I lack. It's not, and I try to seek it from other people. And every time I get approved of something, I feel a spark inside of me, and my self-acceptance, like falsely getting better, but it's not getting better.
Yes.
It's like Tina. It's the exact same pattern that Tina had, just different language, different story, right? Same thing.
I related very much
to her. She's not giving it to herself.
Yeah.
So for a moment, when someone else does it, you might feel the sensation, but it doesn't last, because then your mind comes in and cancels it with some distortion, deletion, or generalization about yourself. Okay.
One of the gifts of the inquiry process, Rasmus, for my own self is we're able to perceive reality rather than wanting reality to be a certain way. It's my own experience that some people like me, some people don't. I might, some people, we're both sitting here. There's wow, frickin' Robbins. Hey, I relate to him. Hey, you know what? Hey, what's she talking about? Or some people might be like, hey, I really resonate. So that's just like your own, think of your own. Listening to this, go inside your own life. Does mine like and accept everyone? Or is it more accurate that your experience is, I feel good, or accept, I accept here, where we're feeling resistance, acceptance, or that lack of acceptance? That's a judgment. That's an opportunity to go deeper, just like we're doing here now. Rasmus, can circumstance.
I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm not sure if it's my or it's your microphones.
Problem. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I hear you,
So Rasmus, can you think of a circumstance with an individual where you didn't feel accepted or you didn't feel liked?
Yes.
Okay, so explain that to us. A specific, give us the context, because we're going to anchor in a specific situation.
When I went to high school, I didn't do very well. I was addicted to all sorts of things, and I didn't have any good grades, and I lost the motivation to go to school. But my dad wanted me to go, and he said that I had to get good grades, and he didn't understand that I wasn't motivated or willing to do my best. And I have been told many times that the only thing I have to do is do my best.
Mm-hmm. So what I hear from you, tell me if this would be an accurate statement, because we want, in order for this to be most effective, the power of inquiry is you identify a statement, you identify a thought. So my dad didn't understand that I was doing my best. Would that be accurate? Okay, so my dad, so if we're working on it, the belief we're working on is my dad didn't understand that I was doing my best.
And also,
so Rasmus,
also maybe that he didn't or don't understand what I want to do, that I want to do other things that I'm passionate about and not the things that he wants me to do or wants himself to do.
Yes. So my dad didn't understand that I was doing my best. or, the other things or understand the other things that I was wanting to work on.
Yes.
Yes. Beautiful. So Rasmus, just in this moment, go back to that. Can you close your eyes? Just for a moment and go back to that situation. Where are you? Where are you? Are you at home? Are you at school? Where was the interaction, the specific situation that you felt that your dad didn't understand that you were doing your best? Where?
At home.
Okay. Can you explain to us what it looks like? Whereabouts at home?
In our living room after we ate dinner together.
Okay. So we're all with Rasmus right now. Can you see Rasmus at his home, in his living room, in your mind's eye? He just had dinner. Okay. And your dad came in and what?
I think I was trying to express how I was not feeling well in high school, how I wasn't
Yes.
pursuing what I wanted, and then maybe I would like to drop out or do something else, and I was just not feeling fulfilled.
Okay, beautiful. So be there now in that circumstance, just after you had dinner with your father. Your dad doesn't understand that I'm doing my best. Is it true?
Is it true that he doesn't understand it, or is it true that
he doesn't,
it's not true?
that he didn't, pardon me? It's not true?
It's not true that I didn't do my best.
No, okay, that's beautiful. But is it true that your dad didn't understand?
Yes, that's true.
Yes. Okay, so it's true, yes.
And if I were going to add, could that be a misinterpretation or misperception on your part? Do you know everything you could possibly know about what your father knew about you and what he believed would support you best? Do you have all the possible information, know exactly what that means?
I don't.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And so let's stay here now in that situation, Rasmus. I'm going to ask you once again. My dad doesn't understand I was doing my best. Can you absolutely, Rasmus, know that it's true that your dad didn't understand that you were doing your best?
I can't.
So no. The first two questions are a one response. It's either yes, or no. So no. So Rasmus, how do you react? How do you react when you believe the thought, my dad didn't understand I was doing my best? How do you react? What emotions arise?
I felt frustrated. I felt not understood. I felt like he was telling me to do something different than what I felt inside of me. So I also felt confusion within myself and anger.
Yes.
A lot of anger. Yeah.
And how did that anger express? Notice what did your face look like? What did your tone of voice look like in that circumstance when you believe the thought, my dad didn't understand I was doing my best?
I would get more and more frustrated until I would either cry or I would yell at him. Walk out of the room.
Yes. Did that, does the belief, my dad doesn't understand I was doing my best, does that thought bring you stress or peace?
Stress.
Yes. What images do you see, past or future, when you believe the thought, my dad doesn't understand or didn't understand I was doing my best?
Well, before I just did what I wanted to do and what made me happy. But when I believed that he knew or he would decide what was best for me, I think I started to do what what I think he wants me to do, or think that other people wants me to do.
Yeah. And so I just want to reflect back to you. When you believe the thought that my dad didn't understand I was doing my best, you feel frustrated, you felt not understood, you felt confused within yourself, you felt anger, a lot of anger. You would cry and yell at your father. You'd walk out of the room feeling stressed, and you started to do what you thought he wanted you to do, rather than what your own deepest heart wanted to do. Rasmus, who would you be in that exact circumstance?
Can I ask one question?
After you? Yes, of course, please.
Just one more question.
Please.
Is that how you want to feel?
No.
Do you want to continue to feel that way?
No, absolutely not.
Is it a burden to feel that way?
Yep.
Does it carry over to other relationships in your life, that same pattern now?
Yes.
So it's more than just your father, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's continue.
Yes. So staying in that same circumstance, Rasmus, and once again, this is not the full inquiry process. We are going to post afterwards. If you want to go deeper in this, this is just a shortened version. But Rasmus, close your eyes, connecting in that moment after you ate dinner. Your father is there. Are you sitting down?
Yeah.
Are you at the kitchen table there? Yes. Is he sitting down, or is he standing? Where is he?
We all sitting with my mom, my dad, and my sister.
Beautiful. So as you sit with your family, and specifically with your father, Rasmus, who would you be without the thought, my father doesn't understand me? In that situation, who would you be without that thought?
I would love my father so much more. I would be myself. I would do the things that I wanted without thinking about what my father thinks. Just that I hope and that I believe that he will be proud of me, that he will love me, and that he really doesn't expect all the things that I believe of me.
Yes.
How would that feel? What would you feel if that was all true?
It feels amazing right now because I think I believe it.
Yes, good.
So what other emotions would you experience? Reke, who would you be without the thought, my father doesn't understand I'm doing my best? What else would you feel?
You never had that thought, ever.
Would feel much more content in myself. Would feel way more confident in myself, not constantly asking myself the question of what does he think of me or what does someone else think of me.
Right.
Yes.
I would be way happier. I would be more compassionate towards myself, more loving towards myself.
So without the thought, just notice, this is your own language. I would feel amazing. I would not worry about what people think. I'd be happy. I'd be more compassionate towards myself. Would you be more compassionate towards your father?
Definitely.
Yes. So you'd be more compassionate, happy, feeling amazing without the thought, my dad doesn't understand me. So let's go to the next. Can we put it up there on the screen for the turnarounds? And can we write the original statement, please? Who's ever doing that? The turnaround, my dad doesn't understand me. Can we have that on the screen? The original statement just helps once again to anchor it for everybody that's going to be doing this at home. I find it so we're doing this in real time, but you would actually write this out yourself. So you'd have, we have a remarkable team. Thank you guys for capturing this. So the belief we're working on is my dad didn't understand I was doing my best. That's the statement we're actually working on. So let's drop the other for this time, just for the simplicity and the effectiveness of the turnaround. My dad didn't understand I was doing my best. Rasmus, can you find a turnaround, an opposite to that statement?
my dad is proud of everything I'm doing. He loves me for everything that I do, for everything that I am. He loves me without me having to do anything to gain his love or his approval. So
would that be, yes, beautiful. So would you find an additional, your exact words are the reverse, my dad does understand that I'm doing my best. How else? Give us a couple examples that your dad does in that situation understand that you're doing your best.
Give us an example. That's where we're building the legs now, right?
Yes, so the architecture.
What's an example right now that if you really focused on it could show you that my dad does understand that I'm trying to give my best? Or he is proud of me.
He's trying so hard. He's trying so hard to communicate better with me and understand me. We have trouble understanding each other. And he tries so hard, and that's really love that comes from him. And I can feel it from him, that he wants to know what it is that I'm dealing with.
Beautiful. I have another, once again, we're just trying these on. Katie always says, you try it on like a pair of shoes. So I have another turnaround. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
So rather than my dad didn't understand I was doing my best, another opposite, because we're turning these around, okay, is I don't understand that my dad was doing his best.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Is that true? Yeah. Can you have references to know that's true?
Yeah, that's very true.
And in that exact circumstance, can you share one or two circumstances how you didn't understand that your father was doing his best?
I didn't have any understanding of him doing his best because I was so busy. I was so busy thinking about the ways that he made me feel. That I didn't think about why he would say the things he wanted. And I've since then also learned more about his past and how he was brought up and all this stuff. And I have gained more compassion towards him and more acceptance. And I'm definitely getting closer right now.
Right now, here, right now. It's so beautiful. One of the most powerful gifts of this process is it obliterates blame. And it puts not the blame, but the responsibility back on us. That's what we can affect. That's what we can change. And we can tidy up and be so connected to our fathers, to your daddy. It's so beautiful. Please go ahead. No, please, honey.
And can you see how other people, you've not taken the time to figure out what they were going through or they were attempting to do in their life, and you thought they were judging you just like your dad, not knowing what they were going through themselves. You just watched Tina judging herself constantly. You'd probably have seen her when she's really focusing on growing, her face and so forth. You might think she was rejecting you or not liking you or not happy with you if you were in her presence before her transformation back to her true self. But the truth is, have you ever taken the time? Do you really take the time when you're thinking people are judging you to see if they're judging themselves or whether it has nothing to do with you? Have you taken the time? Because if you've not, then you see this is not just a pattern around your father. This is the pattern that can obliterate all the pain and limitations, or a good portion of them anyway, that you experience around this pattern.
Yes.
Because it isn't just your dad. And it was before your dad. And it'll be after your dad until you come to the deeper truth. What is the deeper truth? What is the ultimate truth? My soul now knows what?
That I am worthy as I am.
Yes.
That
That's what we want.
And that I only need my own approval.
Yes. Tell me 3 ways you know that's true. Give me 3 pieces of evidence how you know that's true. How do you know that's true? That I only need my own approval. My soul knows that I'm worth as I.
Can you say that again?
Tell me 3 ways you know that statement is true. My soul knows that I'm worthy as I am. I only need my own approval. Give me 3 ways you know that's true.
Because when I give myself approval, I feel good for permanent time. And when I take others' approval, I only feel it for a small amount of time. And then anxiety or stuff comes back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Give me a hand for that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Give me another way you know it's true. My soul knows it's true, that I'm worthy as I am. I only need my own approval. What's another way you know, another reason, another way you know that that is absolutely true?
Kind of freezing right now.
Well, this is good, because this is where you're making new connections in your brain. We're locking in a deeper truth now. We're not just getting rid of the old.
I'm going to close my eyes, and can you say the question again?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Tell me, how do you know your soul is worthy as you are, that you only need your own approval? What's another reason why you know that's true?
Because every human is beautiful, and I'm one of them.
That's it. That's it. That's absolutely true. And give me one more reason you know my soul knows that I'm worthy as I am, that I only need my own approval. One more reason.
When I give myself approval, I can love so much more. I can give other people so much more love and appreciation.
And what happens when you love and appreciate other people? How do they tend to respond to you, as opposed to yelling at them or being angry?
They give it back. And I feel great.
Wow. Win, 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 win. How much would this new belief change your whole life, not just your relationship with your father?
Would change.
What could you
everything.
do if you operated from this new belief? What could you do or experience in life?
I could stop thinking about what others think of me and start doing the things that I'm scared of doing. Start pursuing the things that I want to do, and I'm holding myself back from.
And if you do that, how will your life turn out? What will your life experience be like if you do that on a regular basis? Not perfectly, but you remind yourself, you come back to the truth. It's not perfect. It's just so you start to get hooked, and then you go, no, wait a second. I'm worthy as I am. I only need my own approval, because when I get my approval from other people, it's not permanent, it's short-lived, it comes back, and I'm a human, and all humans are beautiful. I'm one of them, and when I give myself approval, I love so much more. I give love. I appreciate more. And when I love other people, I'm not fearful, and then I go for what I want. What would that do to your whole life?
It would make it possible to do all the things that I'm talking about, all my dreams, everything. If I would be aligned with the things that I want to do, I would suddenly be able to actually pursue these things and talk freely and be more confident when I start to focus on these things we're talking about.
That's magnificent.
Give it up for him. Rasmus, this is
Thank
beautiful.
you so much.
Whoa. Yes. Rasmus, we look forward to you continuing your journey, brother. You're only 3 weeks into this. You're going to have so many more things to stack the beauty of this. And I know you'll be going to unleash the power within. So you have no idea what's coming, but what a beautiful foundation. Everybody, one more. Oh, yes.
And I also, Rasmus, I look forward to the next time that you sit with your father, that you have a meal with your family, and that you see him through an accurate lens, through the reality of your own words. Our team will send you, your own language, because it was so rich. And knowing that your daddy does recognize that you do your best, recognizing that you do as well, and being able to love him so clearly from that place. It's stunning when we lift the veils, the distortions away, and see our beloveds for the beauty that they are. God bless you, Rasmus. You represent each and every one of us. It's a privilege to be with you today. Thank you for your willing heart, your beautiful spirit.